how many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Ça se trouve, c'est lui, Lord Mortimer, en fait.
Hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf
Putain, son accent, ça m'extermine.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet. Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
Alors, on peut équiper un deuxième livre. Exercez votre esprit logique et vos techniques oratoires. On va prendre ça, je pense. Ah oui, lui, on l'a fini. Bah voilà. Ah, quoique. Attendez. Merde. Lui, on l'a en entier. Comportement adéquat à chaque situation et formulez vos flatteries, vos insultes voilées. On va prendre ces deux-là, genre manipulation et ça, je sais plus ce que c'est. Et esprit logique oratoire, ouais, c'est pas mal. C'est pas mal. Allez, let's go.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to... When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. But an act of horrific violence occurred during the night. And I do not know if this is linked to the disappearance of Sarah.
If there's a possible link to my mother, I hope you'll let me know.
In the early hours of the morning, Elizabeth Adams was found dead in her room, savagely mutilated with a knife. I'll get straight to the point, Louis. According to the initial elements at my disposal, you were the last person to see her alive.
Yes, last night we, Do you suspect me?
I want you to tell me everything that happened last night and leave nothing out. Tell me, how did the evening begin?
Duchess Hillsborough and I were returning to our rooms when Elizabeth came up to us. She was in a state of panic and insisted that she needed to speak to me. She said she feared for her life. I took my leave of the Duchess and followed Elizabeth to her room.
Continue.
She insisted we have a drink, without which she refused to confide anything.
What exactly did she want to speak about?
She claimed she saw my mother the previous evening on the cliff, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. I will send someone as soon as possible. But do go on.
I refused to go on drinking with her. She already seemed drunk and her conversation became confused. So, then she ordered me to get out. If only I'd stayed.
Don't blame yourself, Louis. How could you have known? But thank you for this new information.
Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed.
Merde.
I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your
Le
help.
timer, il a
Why
été
is
hyper rapide, putain.
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust
C'est la
you.
première fois que tu nous vois.
You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi, so I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Ok, bon, bah let's go.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
C'est une très bonne nouvelle, ça. Je peux fouiller ici aussi? Ah, c'est son perroquet qui parle.
The nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781.
Hop, on va récupérer ça. On a d'autres trucs à récupérer là? Y'a rien ici. Y'a rien nulle part, tu vas me dire? Ah, si.
Which four-letter word could open this chest?
Ah merde, non, putain. On a quoi? Et bah voilà. Toc. Là on peut récupérer ça. Il y a un écu. Et là-bas on n'a pas été voir. On va aller voir vite fait et après on descend. On peut pas ouvrir la boîte là-haut? Ah, il y a lui qui est là. Ah merde. Attendez, je vais finir de faire le tour. Et on va parler au frérot là. Clé à motif occulte de l'eau. Ok.
Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming.
Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become infatuated with a fragile young woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say, Louis. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru.
J'avoue, il lui avait cassé la gueule déjà.
Violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry.
Mais bon, c'est un peu trop flagrant. Ce serait peut-être un peu trop flagrant que ce soit lui. Dangereux le trou là. On n'a pas regardé ici. Si, on a regardé, c'est bon. Toc. Descendons. Par contre, putain, j'ai qu'un seul truc pour remettre des points d'effort là. Ça, j'ai plus de place. On va aller fouiller les chambres. Je peux pas aller là.
Monsieur Johann van Volner.
On aurait peut-être dû passer de l'autre côté. Ah. T'es qui, toi?
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
Chelou, toi.
I'd have thought this is not really the shortest way to get to your suite.
Yes, I wasn't really looking where I was going.
Ouais.
Leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
Ouais. Ah, ils ont laissé le cadavre comme ça, ok. Alors, fouillons.
A chest with a half circle.
Ah, on a la clé.
An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. The writing is barely legible. Feet and hands are bound. A piece of cloth in the mouth prevents the tongue from being sectioned. It looks like preparation for an exorcism. Is Elizabeth really possessed? The note suggests binding the feet and hands, then blocking the jaws using a piece of cloth to prevent the tongue from being sectioned. That looks like a method to control an epileptic fit. I wonder if Elizabeth is the one being treated for that illness.
Attendez, on découvre des trucs sur elle alors qu'elle est morte là? Vulnérabilité interrogatoire, immunité manipulation. Ok. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il fout là, lui? Je t'écris pour t'informer d'une bien triste nouvelle. Nous ne pourrons pas nous voir comme convenu le premier dimanche de mai. J'ai appris que tu te sentais pas mieux et malheureusement tes frères et moi sommes absolument dépassés par la charge de travail qui nous incombe pour gouverner ce nouveau pays. Je te prie de nous excuser. Dès que nous pourrons nous libérer, ne serait-ce qu'une journée, je te promets que nous viendrons te voir. Ton père qui t'aime. John Adams. PS, n'en veux pas à ta mère. Elle n'est toujours pas prête. Ne la juge pas s'il te plaît. Je suis sûr que vous réussirez à dépasser cela un jour.
Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime.
Tout à fait. Sachant que les autres sont partis à minuit, ça les enlève pas des possibles...
Huh. The talisman that I gave back to Elizabeth. I can't exactly say it brought her good luck.
Ça veut pas dire qu'ils sont innocents du coup, parce qu'ils sont partis à minuit. Putain, le bordel.
Written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. It looks like a mixture of medieval Latin and Anglo-Norman. It is difficult to make sense of this jerky writing. I can make out some passages, though. He's coming. The demon is upon me. He's coming back to kill me. There she is. Death has come to finish me off. I've just run into her son. That was her last entry. What tortured writing.
Ok.
June 11th, 17.
Très chère Elisabeth, ta dernière lettre m'a beaucoup inquiété. Tes mots étaient tellement froids, comme si les émotions n'avaient plus de prise sur toi. Père maintient que les effets secondaires de tes traitements te perturbent encore, mais qu'ils cesseront bientôt, dois-je le croire? Je m'accorde à l'idée que nous pourrons bientôt nous rencontrer. Enfin, réponds-moi vite, ta grande sœur qui t'aime, Abigail. N'oublie pas de me dire ce que tu veux comme cadeau. Ok.
Pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France.
Tiens, tiens, tiens.
It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. Right. I shall have to find its owner.
Ah, c'est Napoléon ou l'autre de toute façon.
30 November, 1790.
Ma chère sœur, j'ai vécu l'annulation de nos retrouvailles comme un coup de poignard dans le cœur. Père m'a assuré que c'était pour ton bien, mais je ne peux m'empêcher de lui en vouloir. Il prétend que ton état s'est détérioré et que te rencontrer pourrait être dangereux pour nous deux. Si seulement je savais où te trouver, crois-moi, je serais déjà à tes côtés. Je n'ai reçu aucune nouvelle de toi depuis déjà très longtemps. Écris-moi, ta sœur qui t'aime. J'espère que tu apprécieras le talisman 6 juin. Ok, et ça... Elisabeth, je désespère et commence à douter de l'intérêt de t'écrire encore. Je ne suis même pas persuadée que tu reçoives bien tous mes courriers. Père contrôle de plus en plus mes correspondances. Je suis convaincu qu'il filtre nos échanges. Heureusement, l'une des femmes de chambre m'aide à te faire parvenir mes lettres, mais je n'ai jamais aucune réponse de ta part. Je pense souvent à toi et prie quotidiennement de pouvoir enfin te serrer dans mes bras. Nous avons tellement de temps à rattraper, je t'en supplie, réponds-moi. Ta sœur qui t'aime. PS, hier, cette horrible femme est encore venue. Elle s'est longuement entretenue avec Père. Je n'ai pu tout comprendre car elle s'exprimait en français. Mais je suis sûr que c'est de toi dont il parlait. Ok. Il n'y avait pas un truc là à voir?
Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. It's a travel dress. The silk has been lightly waxed to protect it from bad weather. And I know the very woman who came up with the idea, given all the traveling she does. My mother. God help us. Why did she come here in the first place? The material appears to have undergone abnormal wear and tear.
She must have been scouring the countryside, and that doesn't look good.
Ok. Bon, on va finir par s'approcher du corps, hein.
A pentagram. What the hell's been going on here? Contrary to what most people believe, a pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point toward the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil.
Merde. Pourquoi il parlait d'Emily? Attendez, pourquoi il parle d'Emily avec ça?
A pentagram. What the hell's been going on here?
Ah non, Elisabeth. Non, non, moi j'ai rien dit. Ah.
Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved.
Possible. Ça, science niveau 1. Bah on l'a, niveau 1, non? Attendez. Bah oui, on l'a niveau 1. Ah mais c'est parce qu'on n'a pas les... Il nous manque des points d'action. Bon, en soi, balèque de ça. Pas envie de le... Pas utiliser mes points pour ça. Ah merde. Croix de Malte.
The blood spatter indicates that the murder must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that.
Ok.
Knocked over bottle of wine. Same thing Elizabeth served me last night. Still just as disgusting. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable.
Mm-hmm.
The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh.
Ah, j'ai pas ce qu'il faut. J'ai pas ce qu'il faut. Bon. Ok.
Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15.
Huh.
Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe.
Ok. La bouteille de vin, le sang, le poignard, il reste plus qu'elle à analyser. Ah, attendez, je vais faire ça déjà.
There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control.
Ok.
The scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life. She had the sigillum de Ameth tattooed on her, the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age, unless her mother was a tutor. Ancient Greek. Let's see what it means. These are sacred chants intended to protect their bearer. But from whom? Or from what?
Ok.
I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. At first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death.
Ah putain, ça va me coûter des trucs, putain.
Some
Je vais
of these
faire ça.
tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood. If the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body.
Vas-y.
Wounds are clean and look like they've been inflicted by a sharp object. Some of the lacerations have damaged vital organs. The heart, the right lung, which is perforated. Most of them weren't given with much force. She might even have survived. But the stab in the heart, though not all that deep, sealed her fate. I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. What a strange smell. Laudanum. Certain courtiers use it to get drunk. If taken in large quantities, it can provoke fits of madness.
Ok. Examiner ses mains.
Blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. This pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body. Let's see. No trace of sexual assault or rape.
Ok. Je sais pas si on a toutes les infos dont on a besoin. C'est quoi là-bas? Ah si, c'est mon leurre. Ok, bah, je pense qu'on a fini de fouiller ici en vrai. Ah oui, non, d'accord. On l'a déjà vu ça en fait.
Has Sam finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Ok.
Has Sir finished with this room?
Do you know who could have made such a mess of this room?
Miss Adams, sir. We were given orders to leave the room as it was, so as not to rush her.
Did she have a fight with someone to get the room into this state?
Not that I know of, sir. Miss Adams would sometimes throw a tantrum, during which she would destroy anything that came to hand.
Très bien.
Lord Mortimer told us not to enter the room.
Thanks for that information.
You are welcome, sir. Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return.
Oui, c'est bon,
whenever
tu
need
nous l'as déjà dit.
be. I shall guard the door.
Alors, j'aimerais bien voir Elisabeth. C'est la chambre de qui là?
President George Washington.
Ils ont pas de la gelée royale là? Putain, j'ai jamais de point d'action.
A map of Vermont.
Ok. C'est déjà ouvert ça. Attendez, il y a un truc là, non? Non, j'ai rêvé.
It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
Je peux pas décrypter
My
la
dear
lettre.
George,
Mon cher George, je t'invite à me rejoindre comme prévu chez moi. J'ai un projet à te soumettre. Il est temps que les États-Unis prennent une place plus importante sur l'échiquier mondial. Je connais tes réticences à jouer avec le feu. Je sais que ton nouveau pays est bien jeune, mais sois assuré que je ne ferai rien pour mettre en péril ce que nous avons déjà bâti ensemble. Au plaisir de se revoir prochainement. Ok. On lui parlera après à lui. Je vais faire le tour de sa chambre d'abord. Il n'y a rien à trouver là?
Portrait of George Washington.
Ah, ça m'intéresse. Là, on peut pas ouvrir les boîtes. Non. Bon, qu'est-ce que t'as à nous dire? On va pas trop tarder, moi, parce que je fatigue là.
You can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes, she came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Do you take it regularly, Mr. President?
Unfortunately, I do, Louis. I still suffer from a terrible toothache, and it's not likely to get any better.
It's just for that, then.
Old age, my young friend. I don't wish it upon you, but you'll soon see. At my age, it's rare to have no problems in that domain.
And do you take a lot?
A moderate amount, Louis. Only the dosage indicated on the prescription of my doctor.
I'm talking to all the guests to find out who has an alibi and, well, who doesn't, Mr. President. Can you tell me what you were doing last night so that I can strike your name off the list?
I spent the night right here, reading.
All night?
Exactly. Emily stopped by in the middle of the night, you can ask her. She wanted to talk about some business we have in common.
Anything whatsoever to do with Elizabeth?
Not at all, Louis. A business matter.
Ok.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Are you all right, Mr. President? Are you feeling all right?
Oh, don't worry. It's this rotten toothache. What do you expect? I'm no spring chicken now.
Putain, j'ai utilisé un point juste pour ça.
Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened, and I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured. It looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue.
Ok. Bon. On en a fini ici. Et moi, je vais vous abandonner. Parce que je commence vraiment à fatiguer. On continuera l'enquête au prochain stream demain. Oui, demain. Oh putain, c'est dur. Ouais, on continuera demain. Du coup, hop, on va juste sortir de là. On a eu une petite save. C'est parfait. Du coup, ouais, je vais aller vérifier que je vous dise pas de bêtises. Mais la manette a été déconnectée. Bien sûr que non, elle n'est pas déconnectée, ma manette, voyons. Je vais aller vérifier le planning, mais il me semble que demain, on continue. Peut-être que Coco est là demain, je ne sais plus. Ah oui, non, je crois que Coco est là demain. Attendez. Le planning. Oui, Coco est là demain. Mais du coup, on continuera samedi. Samedi, on continuera cette petite enquête. Bref, du coup, le stream... Non, d'abord, il faut dire au revoir à YouTube, voyons. YouTube, j'espère que ça vous a plu. Je vous dis à très vite pour la suite.